Perfect, 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 perfect. We are live, Beena. We are live. I just started it. I said, I'll get going. I'll get going. Beena will be here any second now. That's quite
Hello,
wonderful.
hello, and welcome to
Yes.
Moreness-Culture. Good morning, Syl.
Good morning, Beena. Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning. Yes, very good. Very good. Very good. Yes.
Oh, hello,
Uh,
Brain. Good to see you.
yes. Yes. I want to double check on grain because, I
Hmm.
admitted grain before and it didn't record. And I like grain for the summaries. I use that. So it says it's here, and audio is off, camera is on for grain. I don't know what that means. Maybe I gotta. All right. I guess that's just. I never looked at that before. All right, we're all good. We're all good. We're live. Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. And it is good to be here on Sunday also because
Yeah.
Sunday is in Syl's vocabulary. It is fun day.
Yeah.
Actually, we have every day as fun day, but today just he associate actually Sunday to fun day. And this is
Yeah.
what mood management is, because mostly people have this idea that, oh, it's Sunday, I need to just okay chill and do nothing, which is of course also good, not a problem with that. But having a negative association is a problem. Like you feel that, oh, today I'm going to rest, which means that you cannot rest of the week, which is
Yeah.
going to put
Yeah.
you on stress. So when
We have to be
when
we
people
have to be careful of those assumptive implications.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And that is something, that's why I really love this idea that you associate Sunday as something like it's fun. When we do that, we actually lift up that kind of like inadvertent
Yeah.
intent of
Yeah.
creating
Yeah.
stress for the rest of the week, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. And I love this idea from Way-Of-Impeccability.
Yeah.
Anyway, what
Yeah.
we are
And,
doing so today,
and also,
yes.
while we're on that topic, just by associations, Monday for me is like energy and enthusiasm and eagerness day.
Wow, this is see it is like all choices. And coming back to the making of like
Exactly.
the importance of making deliberate
Exactly.
choices, this is
Right.
so wonderful. It can be, and it is
Yeah.
actually life transformation right there in your own hands. You can transform your own life if we just
Yeah.
start paying attention when we are making choices and taking responsibilities which are coming with those choices. Then life is fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
absolutely, you will have no regrets, no stress, nothing,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
only choice.
Not just fun, but
And that is,
potent as well.
ah, there you go. Yes,
That's it. We want to have potent
yes.
lives, not just fun lives, but potent as well. Yeah. Because if it's all fun, your life can tend to be a bit hollow. It's like having only eating desserts and sugar and sweets and stuff in your life. See, you need something that has substance as well to balance that. You can't only have that, right? It's nice, but not good. We need nice and good. Yes. So, and we want
Absolutely.
substance with potency. Yes, it's a very, very potent word, potent, right? Not just substantial, but potent. It's a difference, right? Moreness. Yeah, is what we're after. We like moreness, yeah? And moreness is taking that totality and looking at it, and particularly paying attention to
Yes.
superlatives, right? We want superlative life in all aspects. Yes, right, Beena?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Just say it again, please.
It's just,
Just say it again, please.
I
Sorry.
say, we want, yes. In life, when we typically think of what do we want, yeah, I want a good life, I want a nice life, I want a happy life. And we don't think there's more. We kind of know there's more, but we don't think that we are able to get that more. Yeah? We
Mm.
don't think it's available to us specifically. But why not? Right? So when we start thinking, yes, I want joy in my life, I want fun in my life, but I also want potency in my life. Yeah? And that changes the whole dynamic. And then when we extend this to say, I want superlatives in my life, that's what I aspire to. Superlatives. Yes. Now it's a whole different issue. So yes, superlatives are really, really wonderful, right? So I don't want just an okay life. I want an awesome life. Yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what we are actually keen
Right.
about and what we are doing. What way
Yeah.
of impeccability is, what moreness actually is.
Exactly. Exactly.
Superlative.
Exactly.
This is what actually moreness is.
Exactly.
Why
And
why just settle with okay, enough, or just good,
yeah,
when you can have more?
exactly. 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 And we can have moreness, right? That's a
Yes,
difference.
exactly.
Yeah. When to have
Exactly.
more is quantity, moreness is quality. Moreness is superlatives. Moreness is that potency. Yes? Because if you have a potent life, you're going to have joy, you're going to have thrill, you're going to have awesome, you're going to have spectacular, you're going to have fantastic, you're going to have excellent. Yes? And also, potent life is one filled with integrity, with goodness. Yes? Character. Yeah.
Yes.
And when you add all that together, this is an incredible life to live, right? Yeah, we're not settling just for okay. Yeah, no, none of that. Brilliant. All right, now let us go to check real quick. Just say hello on Instagram. We've got Essa joined us there, and we'll set this to chat comments to see if anybody joins us. Not just yet, and we'll go directly continue our reading. Yes, we were there. Uh, Carlos is Don Juan is continuing to teach Carlos, and Carlos is he's teaching him the power plants, right? He's trying to get Carlos to essentially break the hold of Carlos's worldview. Now, this isn't apparent now, but it comes later in the books. And you say, yeah, but spoiler. No, it's not a spoiler. Because when you read it later in the books, you kind of have to come back to this and reread it, knowing what Don Juan is up to. I'm just saving that coming back. And also, when you know this paradigm, this view, this perspective, this intent that Don Juan has, right? And he's doing this with a very particular intent. When we are aware of that intent, it enables us to be able to connect to and to glean and comprehend the fullness of what Don Juan is doing, and that makes a very big difference.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Right. So, by the way, on Zoom, when you share, you have many share options, and you can share the entire screen, or you can share only that application. And this helps now, obviously, when I do it this way, right? You see, you're only seeing this on your screen. You're only seeing the book, right? That we're reading from, the text. Yeah.
Yes.
Right, Beena? You don't see me or anything on the side and all that.
Okay,
Now,
because I'm watching on Zoom, so that's why let me go and you just check it on YouTube also.
well, YouTube or it particularly matters on IG because IG is that vertical format.
Yes,
You see, so
on IG it's just a text. Yes.
right, and that's what we want. All right. So there we were, and so Carlos was doing all of the stuff with the datura plant, Jimson weed or devil's weed, and part of this whole process involves using these two lizards, the two female lizards, and he's got to dip them in the paste and then rub the paste on his forehead, and then he's got to ask the lizards what he wants to know, and he sets them free, and they go, and one's got to tell the other one, and the other one tells him. It's a whole long, complicated procedure, which to us, okay, it's interesting. But the intent of this exercise, of the reason why Don Juan does this, On the surface, you'd say, well, it's all about divination and learning a divination skill. Yes, that is so. But it's not the deeper reason why Don Juan is doing this. Don Juan is doing this to put a crack, a massive crack, and with the intent of collapsing Carlos's worldview. This is his intent. He wants to collapse Carlos's worldview. In Carlos's worldview, it's a very ordinary, conservative. I mean, even though Carlos probably at the time was considered a liberal, he's still seeing the worldview in the way we all do. There's no magic in Carlos's world. Magic doesn't exist. It's not real. You can't do any of the stuff, blah, 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 right? And Carlos, Don Juan, Don Juan is making the effort to get Carlos to understand the world does not work the way you think it does, Carlos. Of course, this applies to all of us, right? But that is what Don Juan is trying to do, is to completely collapse, not just put a doubt there, not just bring an alternative perspective. No, he wants to completely collapse Carlos's worldview. Now, this one application in and of itself isn't going to collapse Carlos's worldview, right? So this is going to put a crack in it, and that's why now he says later on Carlos was ridiculously stubborn and ridiculously entrenched in his worldview. So we have to do this multiple times. He says with most of the apprentices, only one time is necessary, right, to collapse this worldview. And it's very important, because if you cannot understand that our view of the world is a view, Don Juan says it's a description. He says the world is a description and we are the ones describing it. I think if that's the exact quote, if I remember. Yeah. But to put it in another way of saying this, it's a worldview. Yes. And I've seen many people undergo worldview collapse. Yeah. When they realize, oh my goodness, say again?
Sorry to
no, please go. Always interrupt. Okay. Just interrupt. Just interrupt. I love it.
Okay, we have someone who joined us on YouTube. It's Safari, who says, yes, hello, Morness.
Wow. Wow. So when you go on an LA safari, do you encounter all those wild animals on Hollywood Boulevard, etc.? Down on Venice Beach? Strange and exotic animals. Yes. Wonderful creatures. I mean, just those two places, right? I mean, but there's many others, of course, yeah? But those ones are particularly filled with strange and exotic creatures. So an LA safari, yeah. And now, it's very important. What exactly does LA safari say?
You say good mornings.
Good mornings, says LA safari. Not, and yes, good mornings to you, LA safari. This is too wonderful. I love this. This is most appreciated, and it says a lot. Yes. Now again, see, we are paying attention from a way of impeccability point of view. It's just a greeting. Yes. In other words, first of all, LA safari was paying attention, right? Now, it's when we said good mornings, unless LA safari was very sharp and quick on the buttons, and happened to catch us right as we started, typically most when you join a live, unless you're waiting for it, you miss those greetings, which implies that it's Christopher Abbott. This is my alter ego a lot. Well, but you see now, before I saw it was Christopher Abbott, it implies, I was going to say, it implies that LA Safari has watched before and heard us say good mornings, you see? So that's why I was about to say that means LA Safari has watched before, but it's Christopher Abbott, so which is correct. My point is, if we pay attention and we learn to pay attention to implications, we can deduce, infer, connect, and understand much more than is otherwise available to us. Like in this case, right? Just putting together the dots, okay, you know, they watched before, and there it goes. I got the confirmation, which is very nice. You of course, whenever you're looking at implications, sometimes they can be conclusive, but mostly there's some margin that maybe not. So we always keep that in mind. But this is fantastic. Hello, Christopher Abbott. I like this name, LA Safari. That's, do you do tours? Do you do Hollywood tours? Something like that? That's a great name for, doing the Hollywood tours or LA tours. This is fantastic. LA is a very magical place. I enjoyed living there. It was very cool. Very cool. All right, so now we are looking at this incident with the lizards and everything, and the datura plant and the paste and all of this through the lens of the collapse of Carlos's worldview. And you were saying something about collapsing of worldviews, Beena?
Yes.
Say again.
Yes, because I have experienced this many times,
Yes.
where during the way of impeccability with participant and with my own self, like, okay, this is
Yes.
something
Yes.
happened to me many times, and it is still very much possible that it is going to happen, because there is always more. So my
Exactly.
understanding right now is good till I will not learn something else much better than this or new. So
Exactly.
that's why the
Exactly.
worldview collapse is kind of like, we are kind of like I'm expecting that, okay, it is going to happen, and because otherwise we will be stuck. We are going to,
Exactly.
we will not grow. So worldview
Exactly.
collapses,
Exactly.
which means that it
Exactly.
sounds very horrible. I don't like
Exactly.
it at all, but
Exactly. All right. So let's put this in another context, Beena, that we almost anybody, right, say, well, what do you really, really, really want? Okay, when you first ask, well, what do you want in life? Well, I want, success, fame, wealth, happiness, joy, nice children, whatever, right? You can go through all the whole range of typical, usual things. But you say, well, what more than that? If you press people a little bit, well, okay, maybe something spiritual. If you keep going, the end of that, right? You keep going, and is typically freedom, right? As the most end, the most superlative, the most ultimate that you can get, like capital F freedom, right? Like true freedom, right? Now, think about it this way. If you want freedom, or if you see freedom as a goal, as desirable, you have to collapse your worldview. Any worldview you have is a prison relative to freedom. Let me repeat that. Any worldview you have is a prison compared to freedom. Yeah? Right, Beena? You muted. I feel Beena saying something, but you muted.
yes, yes,
That makes
yes.
sense, right? Now, when we're going to see this with Carlos, going to see this repeatedly, we're going to see the prison, the restrictiveness of his worldview. Keep it in mind. We are doing a capital R reading of Don Juan, also of Carlos. But it is Don Juan that is of interest to us. Understanding Carlos and Carlos's limitations and restrictions, this is most valuable also. Because through that, we can learn ourselves what our limitations are. And worldview is one such. Now, worldview is my term that I'm using here, right? And especially worldview collapse, my term. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying it because, oh, it's mine and I'm claiming ego. I just want to make it clear that I am using terms and conceptionality from the language of conceptionality, and the language of conceptionality with hyphens. It's a thing. Yes, it is another way of saying way of impeccability. But the language of conceptionality, when I'm talking about way of impeccability that I've put together, that Beena talks about, that Beena is a part of, yeah, this is more than when Don Juan talks about impeccability, a lot more. And part of that is this language of conceptionality. Yeah? And when we have this language of conceptionality, it is a most ultimate toolbox. It's like a magic toolbox, right? Which is a toolbox that allows you to make tools. Right? Instead of being already filled with tools, you open it up and you say what you need and you get the tool you need. This is the language of conceptionality. It allows you to create what you need. It's incredibly fantastic, right? And now it's this understanding of this term worldview and what it means. This is incredibly potent. Now, it's a term, and as such, it's got depth to it. It's a conception. And now we need to know the moreness of it, because we can think, okay, I hear the term worldview, I sort of understand. But when we really see this via Carlos and Don Juan, and we see their entirely different worldviews, and I've referenced this before, I believe, Christopher Abbott, that you were here when I spoke about this. When with the lizards, Don Juan says she, and Carlos said it. And I said, right there, we see the difference in the worldviews. Yeah? Don Juan could never call any lizard it. It's always she or he. Yeah, or if they have a name. Yeah, but maybe they don't have a name because he doesn't know if they have names. But it's that reverence that he has. To call it an it is to treat it as just a thing. Yes, a thing that is, well, it doesn't mean much. No, for Don Juan, everything has meaning. Everything is valuable. Everything is sacred, and you might say holy. Now, sacred and holy has a religious connotation, but I mean sacred and holy non-religious. Things can be sacred and holy and have nothing to do with religious. It just means they are extremely precious, valuable, right? And you have much respect for those things. Don Juan respects absolutely every single thing. Doesn't matter whether it's a grain of sand, a rock, a lizard, everything. Everything gets respect from Don Juan because it's all part of life. Yeah? All gets respect. Now, so this is very important to understand. And we see this, like I said, just in that she and it. Now, Carlos is like, oh, it's just a lizard. Huh? No, to Don Juan, it is not just a lizard. Yeah? And he says, beg the lizard. Not ask, not demand, not command, beg. Beg the lizard for the favor. Very important difference in worldview. And when we understand this, now we are looking through the lens of conceptionality, which is the language of conceptionality, which is the abstract perspective. I cannot emphasize how potent this is. We are looking at overview perspective. We are seeing this bigger picture. We're not getting lost in the details, right? It's not about the lizard being it and she. It's about the worldview that says in one worldview it means nothing, and in the other one it is sacred and special and awesome, right? And commands due respect. See? Due respect. Everything, yeah, must respect everything in life, right? All right. So everything has value. Everything has value. That's very, very important understanding. So we're going to continue to read again. The details are interesting, but it's that abstract moreness that comes. And we ended off with Carlos setting the lizard free that has to go and find the answer to his question in some magical way, of course. And it disappears between the rocks, and it's the twilight at the end of the worlds. And hello, far away, Beena. Very far away, very zoomed out, Beena.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's okay. Sit back and enjoy. You don't have to be close. It's wonderful to see you, Beena.
Yes, I was just like sitting and chilling back.
Yeah.
Okay,
see, just, when I ever see Beena, I just see that inherent joy in her face, in her being. I just feel that energy coming there, like sparkles. Anyway, so we're gonna. So Carlos was set the lizard free, and he touched on the sadness of the world, and the sadness in the world. Sadness is like a force. It's like an energy that you put out there. We can think of it as emotions. When we think of emotions and feelings as equivalent to smells, yeah. So a lot of smells in the world. Typically, we only smell smells that are close to us, yeah? But every now and then, like in the comic books, right, you'll have that wavy line smell that will come past your nose and you'll smell it, and it's coming from far away, yes? And I have this. I experienced this in my life. I told Beena once, oh, man, I'm smelling cabbage. And, somebody far away was cabbage. Or smoke, somebody was smoking. And, the nearest person isn't very close, right? And I'm closed in where I am. I smelled it strongly. Right? So smells can come from far away. Likewise, emotions can come from far away. Sorry, I have to pay attention to my hand. I I've fixed my lighting coming for the show we're going to do to have good lighting. But you see now the light, it puts the shadow here. So I have to really watch my hand, or I have to exclaim with my left hand because the right hand is making shadow. Or I have to do it, you do it right here, close to you. But see, here's the shadow. If I do there, it's okay. But there it feels a bit weird to do over here. You see, it doesn't have the same emphasis value. Anyway, so when we look at emotions as being like smells, right? And we realize they get put out there. Sadness gets put out in great, massive quantities. Yes. Now, sadness as an overview term. Anytime you've got any frustration, anger, annoyance, botheration, regret, seeing that you're not getting what you want, etc., etc., all of those fall under this great umbrella term of sadness. No? You might call it negativity, but it's somewhat, sadness is a better term because that's how we feel it. So we have to be very careful. It's out there, all that energy, yes, and we can sometimes touch it and connect to it. And we have to be very careful not to get sucked into it, not to get immersed, and also not to assume that if I feel it, it's mine. No, not necessarily. Yeah, this is part of Way of Impeccability, part of the teachings of Way of Impeccability. Just because you feel it does not mean it's yours. It may be, it may not be. Yeah, I may feel this sadness from the world, and I have no sadness in me whatsoever. Yeah, but if I don't understand that it's not me, I can assume it's me, and I start looking at what's wrong with me and blah blah blah. Right? No. I'm just feeling, it's like me smelling. Like if I smell that cabbage, yeah, I don't go, dang, I smell like cabbage. See? Right? We have to understand this. It's not something that is taught in the world, it's not something that's understood in the world, but it's something that causes massive problems. People assume that what they feel belongs to them. Big problem. So Carlos was feeling the sadness, right? And then he remembered, right? He remembered what Don Juan said, that the twilight, there's the crack between the worlds. Now, Don Juan, when he said it before, he used different words, right? He said, twilight is the crack between the world. And yeah, he's quoting Don Juan as saying, the twilight, there's the crack between the worlds, yeah? So just me paying attention, I remember the quotes, and they're different, okay? Carlos, same thing, right? He's paraphrasing him, obviously, because it's also a translation. So, all right, fair enough. Let's continue reading here. Do you want to read, Beena, or you want me to read?
I can try, of course. I'd love to.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I mean, I love to hear you read, so it's just a joy.
Okay. I just want you to emphasize a bit more on this thing that sadness is not negativity, because if it is so, then it will be will change a lot of things in our life.
Exactly.
Because according to some Asian and some religious understanding, they say that when God created the human heart, it blows or God blows the winds of sadness, like 70% were the winds of sadness, or 80% if I'm not correct.
Wow.
And then 20% was the happiness, but it was not negative.
Wow. Correct.
So,
all right.
So that's why I just want you to emphasize a bit more on this.
So in the Way of Impeccability universe, in Moress-Culture, which I prefer as a term, right? Moress-Culture has Way of Impeccability as its foundation, as its bedrock. But because it's Moress, it has capital H hearing or capital P perceiving. It has understanding of paradigms, right? And it has much more, right? When we get into nobleness, right? Not as a superiority thing, but as an expression of our deepest heart, our deepest intent, then we see there's a lot more. So in Moress-Culture, we are looking at things from this very different understanding and different perspective. And here we have a powerful tool. We understand that everything is there and everything can be used. Everything is valuable. It's up to us to find the value. Why? Why would you think, or how can sadness be of value? Yeah. Because sadness says, when you understand the entire overallness. Now I'm going to, let me end screen share here because You know, this
Yes.
is going to be a long explanation, and so we can see
Yes,
things a
please.
bit better. And I must make sure I'm in the middle of the screen because, of course, it doesn't matter on a horizontal screen, but it does matter on Instagram, right?
Hmm.
And so I can be a little off center there, right? So yeah, there we go. See, anyway, just awareness. You see, I have to apply all awareness of all these different things while doing this. Good. All right. So to get back to where we are, to use things. When we and I have to put, yes, wonderful, Beena. I can't see it. It's shining, but turn it slightly. Just angle it, little more, little more. There we go. Perfect, perfect. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So now, when we understand this, Ophelia Zadorsi has joined us on Instagram. Hello, Ophelia. I love that name, Ophelia. It has much good connotations. You know, going way back into Greek literature. All right. And of course Shakespeare as well. All right. Anyway, so to now start, why sadness is a necessity from this point of view, from some spiritual and religious traditions saying that, you know, when humans were created, that sadness was put into their hearts in an overwhelming perspective, quantity, right, proportion. Because here's the point: from a Moress-Culture perspective, what is the point and purpose of life? The meaning of life. Yes. And I will answer that. You know, I've seen many times people say, oh, meaning of life, this is impossible to know. Nobody can answer this. Nonsense. There are many, many explanations for what the meaning of life is. We just have to pay attention to them. Doesn't mean they're all accurate. Of course, you have to decide in the end. But from a Moress-Culture perspective, the meaning and purpose of life is the development and enhancement of awareness. This is what life is all about: the development and enhancement of awareness. Okay? So, wow, that's really cool. But wait a second, aren't we on the theme here, on the topic of understanding why sadness is a necessity?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Why? Because in order to develop real, true awareness, you have to do so by yourself. You cannot be given awareness. Cannot. You cannot be given it. Think of it from an AI point of view. Yeah, to understand this, you're trying to create a robot. If you give it that awareness, it's really just a sophisticated program, and the robot isn't truly conscious. It's not truly aware. It's not truly independent. Why? Because you've programmed it to be aware. This is not actual awareness. By definition, awareness can only be real awareness if it is self-generated. Yeah, and if it comes, basically, awareness sort of comes out of nothing. It's a truly magical thing. Now, this means that you essentially have to start off from zero with unawareness, which is what we have, right? As babies, children, we have unawareness. Yeah? We have maybe some residual memory, we have some tendencies, but all of those are only there to assist us in developing our own awareness. Yeah? Now, that's a bit of a sad reality.
Yes. Okay. So
Well,
as you
well,
said that,
hang on. Let me just keep going a little more. Can you hold? Because I've just got a little bit more to go to fill this all up.
yes,
Right?
yes,
Yeah. Even the rich and decadent can't have it without work. Exactly. Exactly. But the sadness comes in that we have to start from ignorance, start from unawareness, which means in order to get to awareness, we're going to have trials and tribulations and struggles, not as a necessity, but as simply that's just how it's going to be, because we are bumping around in the dark, which means we are going to, you know, bump our shins against toes against furniture, the equivalent, right? You may get lucky and, you know, be bumping around in this dark room trying to find the door to get out, and you may just on your first attempt find the door and out you go, yeah, without bumping into anything. But typically and overwhelmingly, we are making many mistakes which are unpleasant, not fun, unhappy, doing stupid things, doing idiotic things. And as a result, here's the sadness. Now, you say, but why do I have to have sadness in me? Because that sadness becomes a pressure that we seek to avoid. And that pressure becomes a lever from the universe, God, Allah, Krishna, Buddha, whoever, from anything, doesn't matter. It could be you, your subconscious, your higher conscious, your soul is saying, hey, you know what? You need to be aware that you have a soul. Yeah. So your soul says, what can I do to put pressure on you? The sadness says, man, this is not tolerable. I want more. I want better. Right? Sadness is not necessarily suffering. Yeah. It's just a state of being that you have the choice to endure it because you can, or you can say, I want better. See? Whereas suffering, you've got to get out of it. It's a pressure. It's a direct point. Where sadness is a subtle, optional leverage. And this makes sense. If we were to set up a universe, an environment, which is going to ideally promote the attainment of awareness, we cannot do so when we're forcing it, because then it becomes a program. So we have to kind of set up things where we're going to encourage choice. Sadness is that mechanism that encourages us to choose and want more. We can live with sadness, and in fact, most people do. And again, sadness in this big overview that I've explained, right? In whatever way it is. They live with anger, they live with regret, they live with not having enough, they live with less, they live with things not being quite right. And they basically learn to be sort of tolerate it and accept it, and they make peace with it. But when we say, you know, I don't have to, and in order to get to awareness, you have to make that extra effort of your own accord. You have to choose it, right? And sadness is the ideal mechanism for getting us to choose more. Same with doubt. Yeah? Doubt is a magical mechanism for us getting to leverage our awareness. It's a gift. Doubt is an incredible gift, right? Because I want to not have doubts, because doubts, if I'm in doubt, then I have no reliability. So I want to get to a point where I don't need to doubt, yes, and I can go beyond doubt, and that's when I know. So doubt gets me to know more, be more aware. Same, it's a mechanism for generating and getting us to develop and enhance our awareness. Does that make sense, Beena? All right, please go ahead with what you want to say. I didn't want to I love your interruptions, but in this case, I just wanted to give the completeness, because for the clips, see, makes the clip complete. Go ahead, Beena. Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, when you were saying that, okay, sadness is coming from the unawareness. In of course, not in these exact words, but you were saying that what I perceive from it. And it makes a lot of sense, because awareness is not constant. Awareness is not stagnant. It is always renewing. It is always becoming. It is always happening. So I am constantly unaware of what I am not aware of. So it's a constant thing of unawareness, which creates a sadness, this innate sadness in an abstract way. Of course, not sadness in particular, depressing and stressing way, but sadness in terms of as an abstract term of being unaware. Every new perspective, every new understanding, every new concept or idea, till it is not becoming or not coming to me, I'm unaware of it. So my natural state is being unaware.
Exactly.
And of course, as human, we want to be aware. But constantly, the more we are doing, the more trying to be aware, the more we are realizing and understanding we are not aware.
Exactly, and that's a sadness.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying, that this is the abstract concept of sadness. Innate sadness for human beings.
Exactly.
Or any entity or any species who is aware of it. Because till something new is coming, you are unaware of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So the unawareness is constant, awareness is not.
Yeah. Very powerful, Beena. Very powerful, Beena. And Mr. Michael has joined us on IT.
Okay.
So hey Michael, I know Michael. Very good. So Mr. Michael, he says Mr. Mike Compton is his name, but yeah, I know him as Michael. So hey, Michael, good to have you join us, mate. Good to have you join us. Very cool, very cool. Mr. Michael has the distinction of being the only person, one, that answered a specific question correctly. Only person. I asked that question of many, many people. Nobody knew the answer, except Michael gave the correct answer. Yeah, very, very good. Okay, it's a long story that, but yeah, to get back to our awareness point, yes, that unawareness is almost the equivalence of sadness. And see, it's sad from the universe's point of view, or our deeper conscience point of view, or God's point of view. Why? Because unawareness cannot be avoided. We have to have unawareness as the start to get to awareness. See? And unawareness is a mess. It's chaos. It's all the stuff, the mess, the chaos of life. Yeah, it's all from unawareness. Every bad thing, every horrid thing, every unpleasant thing, every not nice thing, all the silliness, the foolishness, all of that, all stems from and rooted in unawareness. But it cannot be avoided. You cannot create a world in which you are looking to develop and enhance awareness. You cannot do so without having unawareness. That has to be the starting point, because it has to do it itself. You cannot create awareness, then it will be a program and you're creating a robot universe. Do you want to be, if you were the creator, would you make a world of robots? To what end? Yeah? See, without awareness, it's absolutely pointless. From Don Juan's worldview, and I share this, everything has awareness. It's all different paths to awareness. Yeah, it's not just humans that have awareness, everything. They're all coming at it. It's all trying to solve this riddle of getting to full awareness, getting to universal awareness. But there are a zillion different paths. You could say it's like this giant experiment, right? And if you do a giant experiment and you don't know how the thing is going to be resolved, you don't just run one experiment, you run hundreds of little ones. You do iterations. You try it this way, you try it this way, and you let the experiments run, and you see which one is going to get to the end. You have no idea, right? So this is very powerful.
Okay, so it seems like to me that the consciousness we have, and the more conscious we become, the more sad the sadness, as a capital S sadness here, we feel, because I'm conscious. So innately, I feel that I need, it is kind of my innate right to be aware. And when I realize by the consciousness and being self-conscious, I understand that I am not aware. And unawareness is my constant state, which makes me more sad. Wow.
Yes. Lubna has joined us too.
Okay,
hello, Lubna. Hello. Just love Lubna. So wonderful. Now, yes, Beena. Now, I think of these as the gates of awareness, right? Or at least the gates that are on the path, the capital P path to capital A awareness. There's certain gates. And one of them is this gate of sadness, or the gate of negativity. The more aware we become, the more aware we become of the negativity. Why? Why do we become more aware of negativity as typically the path, and not become more aware of joy and positivity? Why? Because negativity is disproportionately emphasized. Yeah. Look at our news, our newspapers. We don't have the positive things in the world emphasized. No, the things that make the news are disasters, calamities, whatever, right? I mean, I wanted to, way back when I was in my second last year of school, I wanted to start up a newspaper called Positive News, or Positive Times News, right? Positive, that only expressed, and you can tell the news in a positive way. Think of 9/11. What was the headlines? Yeah, 3,000 people killed, or 5,000, I forget the number exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I think it was 3,000 something, the headline at the time. And later it turned out to be 5,000. But it was like, at the time was 3,586, whatever the number was, people killed. Right? That was the headline, all the different things. My headline in the positive news, I'm still going to report on it. But my headline would have been 50,000 people survive. Very big difference. Yeah. See? Emphasis. We emphasize the negative because, of course, the negative is dangerous. But I'm still emphasizing. I'm still bringing this whole incident, right? The Twin Towers, 9/11, the whole thing. I'm still talking about it, but I'm coming at the focus from the fact that 50,000 people survived. You know, when I saw that headline right there on day one, I said I wanted to know how many people survived. It took me about 3 months of dedicated searching to find that number. That incredible? So we have to be careful. Now, this is what we have a disproportionate negative emphasis. Why? Because this comes from superiority paradigm. Superiority paradigm is a fear-based psychology, right? This is what it's all about. It's not a celebratory psychology. It's a fear-based psychology. I'm always looking to get more because I'm afraid I will have less. I'm afraid of starvation. I'm afraid of being cold and being hungry, blah, 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 right? All of these fears, fear of not being loved, fear of not being able to have children. Beena, you all right? Oh, okay. So, sorry.
No, sorry, I'm not doing this because it is, you know that I'm not feeling well.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right, Beena. That's all right. I'm thrilled that you're on camera, even though you're not feeling well. That is quite magical. Yes. Hi, Lumna. So when we understand that the superiority paradigm, our default paradigm, and is one that's based on primarily on fear, and that's why the negative gets emphasized. Because if you're a fearful person, you're always looking for things that are potentially dangerous, potentially stressful, potentially problematic, right? But this is the difference between the superiority paradigm, the fear-based paradigm, and Moress-Culture. Moress-Culture, which is based on a Moress paradigm, on a celebration paradigm, yes, on an enjoyment paradigm. It doesn't mean that you're ignorant of the dangers. No, you're just simply saying, let me put this into proportion. How long have I been living? Right? How many seconds have you been alive, Beena? A zillion of them, right? Moments, right? Each moment potentially has danger to it. Yeah. Well, you've survived. You've survived how many moments, which means that if we are emphasizing fear and danger, we are doing so disproportionately because we're all alive. Yeah. Yes, the exception gets killed, but it's an exception. So we need to understand proportion and look at that. Right? The overwhelming majority of life is alive. Life exists. It's all around us, right? So life itself is easy. It's not an issue because there's abundance of life, right? So when we start to say, wow, now let's say how much moreness is there in the world, how much joy, how much excellence, how much value, how much potency, how much goodness, it blows your mind. Yes, the negativity is a tiny portion. It's all in the emphasis, right? We've got to train our brains because emphasis literally trains your brain, literally wires your brain. So this is very key to understand. Massively important to understand. Moress-Culture is about shifting the emphasis. We're not ignorant of the dangers. We are not going to be careless and uncautious. No, we are going to be strategic, but we are going to understand the appropriate ratio and proportion of negativity. It is tiny in the world. Tiny.
Yes.
Tiny. Yes? All right.
Yes.
It's very
so
important.
Let's do the reading.
Yes. I love this.
But you have to read because I'm coughing. So it's
yeah. No problem. I will do that. So very cool. So and I just got the message, and that's a very good message. And I just want to respond there real quick, and we'll read in a second. This is very cool. That's very cool. I love it. Let's go back to screen share, and we'll share the app. Let me just pull that app up to the front here. There we go. And where's my screen share now? Okay. There we go. I like this with Zoom, that I can share the specific app. And that, I didn't think of it from IG that you wouldn't be able to read it, but somebody said yesterday, Ryan, and it was really great. All right, here we go. After long hesitation, I began to follow the steps prescribed. Again, we are reading to look at this from the overview perspective, the greater intent, which is worldview collapse. That's the point here, right? Not learning divination. That's not doesn't really make much difference. The paste, though it looked like oatmeal, did not feel like oatmeal. It was very smooth and cold. It had a peculiar, pungent smell. It produced a sensation of coolness on the skin and dried quickly. I rubbed my temples 11 times without noticing any effect. I tried very carefully to take account of any change in perception or mood, for I did not even know what to anticipate. As a matter of fact, I could not conceive the nature of the experience and kept on searching for clues. The paste had dried up and scaled off my temples. I was about to rub some more of it on when I realized I was sitting on my heels in Japanese fashion. I had been sitting cross-legged and did not recall changing positions. It took some time to realize fully that I was sitting on the floor in a sort of cloister with high arches. Wow. I thought they were brick arches, but upon examining them, I saw they were stone. Wow. This transition was very difficult. It came so suddenly that I was not ready to follow. My perception of the elements of the vision was diffused, as if I were dreaming. Yet the components did not change. They remained steady, and I could stop alongside any one of them and actually examine it. The vision was not so clear or so real as one induced by peyote. Peyote, not mescalito. Yeah, and big difference. Big difference, Carlos. Worldview again. See how he sticks to it. Yeah? It had a mystic character, an intensely pleasing pastel quality. I wonder whether I could get up or not. And the next thing I noticed was that I had moved. I was at the top of the stairway, and H, a friend of mine, was standing at the bottom. Her eyes were feverish. There was a mad glare in them. She laughed aloud with such intensity that she was terrifying. She began coming up the stairs. I wanted to run away or take cover because she'd been off her rocker once. That was the thought that came to my mind. I hid behind a column and she went by without looking. She's going on a long trip now, was another thought that occurred to me then. And finally, the last thought I remember was, she laughs every time she's ready to crack up. Suddenly the scene became very clear. It was no longer like a dream. It was like an ordinary scene, but I seemed to be looking at it through window glass. I tried to touch a column, but all I sensed was that I couldn't move. Yet I knew I could stay as long as I wanted, viewing the scene. I was in it, and yet I was not part of it. I experienced a barrage of rational thoughts and arguments. I was, so far as I could judge, in an ordinary state of sober consciousness. Every element belonged in the realm of my normal processes. And yet I knew it was not an ordinary state. The scene changed abruptly. It was nighttime. I was in the hall of a building. The darkness inside the building made me aware that in the earlier scene, the sunlight had been beautifully clear. Yet it had been so commonplace that I did not notice it at the time. As I looked further into the new vision, I saw a young man coming out of a room carrying a large knapsack on his shoulders. I didn't know who he was, although I had seen him once or twice. He walked by me and went down the stairs. By then I had forgotten my apprehension, my rational dilemmas. Carlos's rationality is a massive chain, as Don Juan will say later on, right? We're going to see this time and again, how his rationality holds him back. Because it's limited, it's in a bubble. Right? It's not expansive enough. No perception of moreness. Who's that guy? I thought. Why did I see him? The scene changed again, and I was watching the young man deface books. He glued some of the pages together, erased markings, and so on. Then I saw him arranging the books neatly in a wooden crate. There was a pile of crates. They were riot in his room, but in a storage place. Other images came to my mind, but they were not clear. The scene became foggy. I had a sensation of spinning. Don Juan shook me by the shoulders and I woke up. He helped me to stand and we walked back to his house. I had been there 3.5 hours from the moment I began rubbing the paste on my temples to the time I woke up, but the visionary state could not have lasted more than 10 minutes. I had no ill effects whatsoever. I was just hungry and sleepy. Thursday, 18 April 1963, not 18. Fascinates me how we misread sometimes like that. Don Juan asked me last night to describe my recent experience, but I was too sleepy to talk about it. I could not concentrate. Today, as I woke up, he asked me again. Who told you this girl H had been off her rocker? He asked when I finished my story. Nobody. It was just one of the thoughts I had. Do you think they were your thoughts? Look at this. Implications of worldview. Carlos completely and absolutely assumes that if something is inside his head, that it is his thought. It is just a typical worldview. Well, our thoughts are ours. There's no room, there's no expansiveness in that room for thinking, oh, well, maybe it wasn't mine. I mean, in the context here, if we do some retroactive, he was working with the lizards. That question right away, if it had been me, I would have like, oh yeah, duh. Now that you mention it, well, okay, I'm not sure, but since the lizard, maybe it's theirs. Yeah. See, no, Carlos is too limited. He can't even conceive of that. Yeah. So Don Juan has to bring this out to him. Again, look at Don Juan's intent. His intent is to collapse Carlos's worldview, not just crack it, but to collapse it. Each incident like this is a crack leading to the eventual collapse, right? Do you think they were your thoughts? I told him they were my thoughts, although I had no reason to think that H had been sick. They were strange thoughts. They seemed to pop up in my mind from nowhere. He looked at me inquisitively. I asked him if he did not believe me. He laughed and said that it was my routine to be careless with my acts. He said it was my routine to be careless with my acts. Capital R reading. Yes, I'm going to add this to our quote extraction file. That's my dictionary of power file. What is this? Oh, it's my things. Okay, there we go. It's a simple thing, but it means something, right? Because this is about, in Way of Impeccability, we deal with habits. Yes, and when we understand that, like this, Carlos is in the habit of being careless with his thoughts and his acts, and it's very powerful to understand that. Very powerful. It is my routine to be careless with my acts. Act, any kind of act, right? What did I do wrong, Don Juan? You should have listened to the lizards. How should I have listened? The little lizard on your shoulder was describing to you everything her sister was seeing. She was talking to you. She was telling you everything, and you paid no attention. Instead, you believed the lizard's words were your own thoughts. But they were my own thoughts, Don Juan. Pow! Sorry, that's the smack that I'm giving Carlos here, virtually. Seriously, dude, come on now, man. You were just told they weren't. They were not. That is the nature of the sorcery. Actually, the vision is to be listened to rather than looked at. The same thing happened to me. I was about to warn you when I remembered my benefactor had not warned me. Was your experience like mine, Don Juan? No, mine was a hellish journey. I nearly died. Why was it hellish? Maybe because the devil's weed did not like me, or because I was not clear about what I wanted to ask, like you yesterday. You must have had that girl in mind when you asked the question about the books. I can't remember it. The lizards are never wrong. They take every thought as a question. The lizard came back and told you things about H no one will ever be able to understand, because not even you know what your thoughts were. How about the other vision I had? Your thoughts must have been steady when you asked that question, and that is the way the sorcery should be conducted, with clarity. Not just the sorcery, but everything. Clarity of intent. not just clarity of thought, clarity of desire, but clarity of intent. Intent and desire, two different things. Yeah? So when we put this term clarity of intent, it's very different to just clarity. Yes, again, the language of conceptionality. Go further, go deeper, look at the completeness of it, right? Do you mean the vision of the girl is not to be taken seriously? How can it be taken seriously if you don't know what questions the little lizards were answering? Would it be more clear to the lizard if I asked only one question? Yes, that would be clearer. If you could hold one thought steadily. If you could hold one thought steadily. Unlikely, in other words, by implication, Don Juan knows this is not likely for Carlos, especially Carlos. But what would happen, Don Juan, if the one question was not a simple one? As long as your thought is steady and does not go into other things, it is clear to the little lizards, and then their answer is clear to you. Do you hear the affection in Don Juan's expression for the lizards? Right? Can you ask more questions of the lizards as one goes along in the vision? No. The vision is to look at whatever the lizards are telling you and to listen. That is why I said it is a vision to hear more than a vision to see. Yeah, good. There, Don Juan emphasizes that. That is why I asked you to deal with impersonal matters. Usually, when the question is about people, your longing to touch them or talk to them is too strong, and the lizard will stop talking and the sorcery will be dispelled. You should know much more than you do now before trying to see things that concern you personally. Next time, you must listen carefully. See, now this is capital L, listen here. Right? But anyway, I am sure the lizards told you many, many things, but you were not listening. And, okay. I think we ended here today, right? Because now we're coming to a whole long new section here, right? About all of this again. So yeah, we'll end it here today. Again, right? What do we take away from this? Yes, this is all about divination. This is very interesting. This is, potentially useful to find out things, but at a great cost, at a great expense, at great difficulty. We can know things that we don't know via attunement, in other ways, via anomalies, if we need to. Yes. So when we understand the difference between need and desire, much of this, it satisfies desire, but not need. And therefore it's superfluous. And it's in the end a rather poor usage of our energy. Yeah? And when we understand impeccability as being best use of energy and that we have limited energy, and to quote Don Juan, you must be a miser with your energy. He says it somewhere. Yeah? I could find it, by the way. If I do a search here, it will bring it up. It's in the text here somewhere. But anyway, we want to understand that all of this sorcery stuff, it's a poor investment of energy, very poor. It's a huge amount of effort for little reward when you take the sorcery in and of itself. Don Juan is using sorcery as a tool, not to teach Don Carlos sorcery, because at some point he tells him to abandon it and throw it away. But it is a tool for the collapse of Carlos's worldview, right? Very, very, very potent, very important, very good to be aware of, very good to understand. Yeah, and this is very cool, very cool. All right, Beena.
Yes. Okay, so it was, thank you so much for sharing. It was more than, of course, Don Juan and Carlos' story today. You bring such huge points about, of course, the abstract sadness, and also about the consciousness and understanding. It really blows my mind.
And awareness,
Yes,
yeah.
And awareness. So please excuse me for my expression here, because I'm struggling with the sneezing. So I was trying to hold it to not sneeze, and coughing also. So, and also that just to make it clear that, okay, I'm very much actually, I do get indulged into this thing. I don't care about what my expression might look like, which is a need for camera, but when things are so profound, you can't think of like, okay, how am I looking? Because I'm just thinking like, oh my God.
No, I love it, Beena. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
So I don't care about.
In other words, we see, yeah, what we see with Beena, we don't see Beena on camera, and it's one of the reasons Beena does not always put her camera on, because she takes what is being shared very,
Absolutely.
very seriously. Not because
Absolutely.
it's a serious matter. Taking things
No.
seriously is not the same as them being a serious matter, but she's thoughtful, and she is practicing capital R receptivity, which means she does not simply just accept what is presented, no matter how valuable it is. She's got to make it her own before she can
Exactly.
accept it. She can't
Exactly.
accept it simply because it's coming from a source which she's learned to trust. Yeah, no, that's not enough.
No.
Oh, sorry, I was banging my chest, and I think I banged on the microphone. Did it make a banging noise?
No. No,
Did
it
it?
was not
Oh,
there.
oh, oh, that's interesting. That's pretty good then. Anyway, so
Yes.
making it your own. This is capital R receptivity. It's very important. It's not just that.
Yes.
You're thinking about it. You're examining every angle. You're saying, wow, how does this work for me? How do I integrate this into my life? How do I
Yes.
add this into my system? Yeah?
Exactly, most important, because this is the magic of Way of Impeccability and Moreness project for me, that it makes connection, vital connections to already
Yes.
existing awareness. And this is also my checking mechanism.
Yes.
If it is in contradiction, of course, it is not going to make connection, vital connections with already existing ideas and perspectives. So for me, when a lot is happening in those moments when I'm listening, because I'm not only, of course, I'm trying practicing capital H hearing, but also the capital R receptivity, and also that the checking mechanism. Does it make sense? If it is making connection, if it is not in contradiction with
Yes.
already existing awareness, definitely it makes sense. So how it makes sense? A lot
Yeah.
of things are happening.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't need to memorize anything. I never need to actually go through that again. Of course, it is important to the repetition, but I don't need that, because right
Yeah.
there in those
Yeah.
moments, I'm understanding, I'm making it my own. And this is the
Yeah.
magic of
Yeah.
the capital R reading
It's
also.
key. It's key. It's key. And that's why we see those expressions on Venus' face. It
Yes,
is the
just
expression,
be comfortable with that.
right. It is the
Yes,
expression of earnestness.
yes.
Yeah.
And
We are
also
seeing
that,
Venus' earnestness, and it's beautiful, Bina. It is beautiful. Your earnestness is a great, magical, beautiful, magical thing. Fantastic.
uh, I can't do anything about it, but also that there is something
Don't
magical
don't don't
also
try.
happening,
Don't try.
because there's something more magical happening here, because we started this reading, and I started this reading with the intent that I'm going to meet Don Juan. And this is
Yes.
something to connect with his energy. So a lot of things happening for me in those moments. So that's why this is something you are going to
Fantastic. It's
many
fantastic.
times, of
Absolutely
course.
fantastic.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I need to pay attention to something, of course, like
Yeah.
visuals, because
Yeah.
sometimes people assume that, oh, she's feeling bored and she is feeling like, no, it is not like that. I'm not missing
Yeah.
any single
Yeah.
word. I'm not going to do that. This is so valuable for me.
No,
Thank you.
no. What you do is fantastic. I love it, Bina. I
Okay, thank
absolutely
you
love
so
it.
much.
Just at the one time there, I thought something, was just a bit concerned. But
Was
generally, no, I understand its earnestness is
Yes,
beautiful.
yes, yes.
Beautiful.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us
Bye-bye.
here, of
Bye-bye.
course,
Bye-bye.
live on Facebook and on Instagram, on YouTube. And whoever is going to watch us recorded there, please do click like and
Yeah.
subscribe to this channel, because
Mm.
by doing so, you are going to train your online algorithm that this tiny channel is doing something good. And this is something I want in my life more and more. So please, not only to our channel, but whenever you find some value, please do appreciate them.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah. Yeah.
most positive appreciation is by clicking like, subscribe, share, and also making a comment. Please do that.
Correct.
And we love
Correct.
questions.
Correct.
For
So,
us,
yeah.
questions are the love notes from the universe. So please do. If you have a question, we would love to. We would love to. I will answer
Yes.
every you are going to leave
Yes.
here.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
also by your online algorithm, by training that, you are going to train your life algorithm, because they are all
Yeah.
connected. This is how we
Yeah.
attract things, good things in life, positive things in life,
Yeah.
and most important, relevant things in life. Something might
Yeah.
be good, but not relevant to you. It's a waste of time and energy. So it
Yes.
is also
Yes.
about relevant, what you really want in life at this point in your life. So please do that. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Sim. Thank you so much,
Yes.
everyone, who joined
Yes.
us.
Yes.
See you guys
Yes.
tomorrow,
Yes. Bye
hopefully.
bye, Dushka. Bye bye, Michael. Bye bye, Ophelia. Bye bye, Christopher Abbott. Yes.
Wow,
I love
everybody.
that you all joined us. Yeah.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. End meeting. End meeting for all.